Hey there, Wendy here with Jazzydoodledesigns, and Happy New Year! It is now 2024, and I thought it would be fun to look back on all of my coloring pages. So I'm going to do it by artist and or brand, and we'll just take a peek. They're in no particular order. I'm just going to grab them as they come. So first up we have Kirby. I've colored in Worlds Within Worlds and Alien Worlds. So let's take a peek. So this is one of the very first pages that I ever colored. And I did a color along from my Colorful Country Life. And Karen's awesome. And I really like how this page turned out. I used Black Widow pencils. And yeah, it's, you can't go wrong with Kirby pages. Now, the first page that I ever did on my channel was this page. And there's a full color along. It's in real time. It's in 4 parts, I think. So it's a long one. But bear in mind, I've learned along the way. But basically I used acrylic paint, Posca, and then Prismacolors. So I really enjoyed how this one turned out as well. And then the last one that I did in here is this page, this dragon page. I'm sure you've seen it before if you've been on the channel, but I used Inktense pencils to lay down all the color, and then I activated it with Color Shift watercolor. And there is a color along on the channel for this one. And then I used, I think, a Sparkle Pop for the gold. I don't know if you can see in between those scales, but there's a gold Posca pen. And then just a white Posca pen for the highlights. But I really like how this one turned out. It's very shimmery in real life. So I'll try and move it around a bit so you can see that. So that's what I did in this Kirby book. And I do plan, my goal is to finish this book. I'm not going to say that we're going to finish it next year, but we're definitely going to make some progress in it. I really enjoy coloring in Kirby's books in general. So the next one is Alien Worlds, and I did this page. And there is not a color along on the channel, but I used Neocolor 2s in the background, Black Widow pencils, and a Sparkle Pop pen for like the antenna and stuff. This is another one that has a lot of shimmer. There's Winka Stella here in the wings. And then, like I said, like the little antenna and around the wings, that's the Pentel, or not Pentel, but Sparkle Pop. But I enjoyed coloring this page. What's fun about this Alien book is just anything goes. Like, I can have a pink sky. I will say, I filmed all of this, but I had some bleed through, and that was 100% operator error on my part. I did some tactical errors, and I don't even care. We'll figure out a way, I'll incorporate that somehow into this page. Maybe this page will have a blue sky as well. But I'm not terribly worried about it. I had a lot of fun. I think adult coloring should be fun. And if you mess up a page, you mess up a page. But if you never try anything new or do anything different, you'll never advance either. So that's it for Kirby. Next up is Rita Berman. I've colored in 3 Rita Berman books. So we'll just take them one by one. In the Asian book, I colored this page. It is a full color along on the channel. I used Albrecht Dürer watercolored pencils and Prismacolor pencils. I have put up polls in the past where people can choose what mediums I use, and these were the two mediums that were chosen, which is an interesting combination because normally I would think to use my Albrecht Dürers with my polychromos because they have matching, you know, their colors match along the lines. But this page turned out, I like how this page turned out, and it was fun to kind of just do something different. So anyway, there's that page. That's the only one in this book that I've done. I've done one in the Europa book. This is pretty early on in the year as well. This is done with polychromos colored pencils, and I really had fun with this. I enjoy Rita Berman's books a lot. It's funny, they're very different from Kirby, and yet I enjoy both. And they both have their own little challenges. I really enjoy Rita Berman's size of her books as well. But there is a color along on the channel. Okay. In the under the microscope underwater, or whatever it is, I did this page. And this was done with the Black Edition colored pencils. I had ordered the 100 set, and I wasn't super excited about them. And then I colored this page, and it changed my mind a little bit. I mean, they're still not my ultimate favorite pencils, but I think this page turned out really nice. Very vibrant, very fun. There is a full color along on the channel. Okay, next up is Birds in the Forest. Have to zoom you out a little. It's a much bigger book by Denise Klett. These are such fun books. Now, this one I did using oil pastels, and that was an adventure. And I had a lot of fun, and there is a full color along on the channel, and then the birds were colored with Prismacolor pencils, and I love how this one turned out, and I really enjoy the look of these oil pastels. Now, they're a messy medium. There's just no way, well, in my hands, they're a messy medium. You can see there's a little bit of blue here. So if this wasn't a single layout, you would want to put a piece of wax paper or glassine or something between your pages, because I'm pretty sure I sprayed this with a fixative as well. But I don't think it's so much that it's transferring now as it got on these pages while I was working, because you get it on your hands, and then you just inevitably touch stuff. So anyway, that's a fun one. I think it's Mungio oil pastels that I used. Okay, next up are the Creative Havens, and we'll just go through them one by one. Gnome Sweet Gnome. I adore this book. So the only page I've colored, though, is this one. I used Neocolor 2s to color everything except for the little flowers. The little tiny flowers were colored with Prismacolor. Otherwise, it was done with Neocolor 2s. There's a full color along / tutorial talking about how I did it. And as you can see, no warping, no bleed through. It's fantastic. Now, to prepare myself when I was learning, I used Sweet Farm. And so I used the exact same method to color this one, and he's 100% colored in Neocolor 2s. Now, this is the first book that I ever colored in. I did this page, which is one of my least favorite pages that I've ever colored. I don't like the color combination. This is 100% on me. You can see that I also, have learned better to blend and that kind of stuff. But for me, it's more about the color combination. I just don't like it. Next up is Village Market. Overall, I'm happy with this. There's nothing one way or the other about it, but I enjoyed coloring. This most likely is Prismacolor, and probably, I don't know. Honestly, this one's Prismacolor because I wrote it down. But a lot of these, when I very first started, this is even kind of prior to the channel, I just wasn't writing things down. But you can see I didn't burnish, I didn't blend. But I enjoy working in this book. I really like the images. This one is the only book I have that's falling apart, so I'm not sure what I did to it. I have 3 in Main Street coloring. I adore Teresa Goodrich. I buy almost every book that she puts out. So, remember I told you about the black edition and I wasn't thrilled with them? I think it was because I colored this page with them. And as you can see, this is kind of a red-brown wood, right? Let's look at this page. So this is a red-brown wood as well. And the vibrancy difference between these Cezanne pencils and the black edition was pretty stark, even with the red. So I don't know, I was not amused with them on this Amazon paper. I like how this turned out in general, but I tend to really like vibrant pages. And so this was colored with Cezanne colored pencils, which are really nice. This is Jerry's Artorama's store brand pencils. I don't know why they call him Cezanne, because he was an oil painter, so I got nothing. And then I colored this one. This one is a full color along on the channel. This is done with Black Widow pencils. It's really interesting that I've talked about Black Widow so much because I haven't been using them lately. So, but I do enjoy Black Widow pencils. I think they're good quality pencils. And you get, I don't know, there's something like 180. So you get a fair amount. But I like how this page turned out. Absolutely love the Christmas gnomes. And I colored 2 pages out of this one. So this page is a full color along on the channel. It's Prismacolor and Posca and a lot of chatting. And then this one is also a full color along on the channel. I do try and record most of my stuff, so you'll hear that a lot. This was done with Lafranc in the background, Lafranc vinyl paint, which I really like because look how matte it is. I will say it shows up very dark on camera. I don't know if getting it in the light will help. It's lighter in person, but it shows up very dark on the camera, almost black. And it's not. It's more, honestly, it's not much deeper than this green here. So take that for what it's worth. But I used Avazar London pencils for this and a Signo Jelly wool pen for the white. And I think he's cute. All right. One more in the Creative Haven. This is in Country Christmas. Now this was done prior to me having a channel. I colored this Christmas page, and I like how it turned out. I used Prismacolor for this. And this was actually in 2022, like December-ish. I'm putting it in my all the colored pages that I've colored, because I've only had this channel for about a year. Okay, next up is World of Flowers by Joanna Basford. Guys, I am shocked. I own, I think, almost all of Joanna Basford's books, and this is the only one I've colored in. What am I doing? I don't get it. But anyway, this was one of the first color-alongs that I did on the channel as well. This was done with Artix pencils and then Mungio dry pastels in the background. I guess I can zoom in just a touch more. But I like kind of the softness of the background and the vibrancy of the flowers. Oh, and then I colored this one. So this one was done with Polychromos colored pencils and the Mungio pastels in the background as well. There is a full color along on the channel for both of those, I believe. Okay, next up we'll go into the Mythographic books. I have only colored in these two, Menagerie and Paradise. So this first one, one of the subscribers on the channel, she was awesome, always commenting, liking, whatever. I allowed her to pick a page, and I colored this one for her. She picked this page, and it's done with Prismacolor color pencils and Gold Sparkle Pop. I had some issues, a little bit of a learning curve with, you know, trying to white out the lines. I didn't want the lines to show, but overall, I like how this one turned out. And then I did this page in Menagerie. This is also done with Prismacolor, and it's a fun little image. My fur is a little, let's just say nobody's going to be requesting that fur as a coat. But overall, these are fun books to color in and cute images. Okay, next up is R.J. Hampson's A Frog's Tale. I just think these little frogs are so cute. So I had a request from one of my subscribers to color this page. So I used Cezanne pencils. We talked about those, the Jury's Artorama store brand pencils. These are a nice pencil, especially for the price. But that being said, on this paper, I struggled. Like, look at the sky. That was a lot of layers. I don't remember how many, but it was quite a few. And these are a lot like Polychromos in that you have to, they're a better layering pencil. But that being said, I could have burnished this out. I could have used Zested. I could have, you know, done something like that. I'm okay with how this turned out, but it is something to note about the pencils. Next up is Benny Blue. I've colored quite a few in this one. This little guy was done with Prismacolor pencils. Oh, Benny Blue is by Christine Karen. Now, I chose not to give him a full background. I think that that's okay. I do that in several of these. And then some of them I do color the background. But here's another one where I've chosen not to give him a background. These might be a good choice for like maybe a pastel. Now, one thing to note, I want to point this out. If you can see this, what this is when I colored this page, I had already colored this page, and I didn't put anything in between. So when I burnished him down, it kind of pulled off some of the color to that page. So it is something to be conscious of. And a lot of people put in like wax paper sheets or glassine sheets to make sure that that doesn't happen. These are all one-sided, so I'm not too worried about it. But you can see it's happened on a lot of the pages. This one was done at the lake in the summer, and I used my Avizard London pencils, which I love to travel with because it's a very compact, it's 130 pencils. They're sturdy, they don't have to be sharpened a lot. They're just great for travel. Okay, next up is the rainy day page. This was also done with the Avizard London pencils. And then my little Batman with Avizard London. I like to travel with this book, so a lot of times I'll do several pages while I'm out traveling, you know, just because it's easy. And the Avizard London are great for that. Next up, this is my little pile of images that I've colored, that I've printed myself. So this is from Rachel Mintz. She does both colors, grayscale and line art drawing. She has a lot of really cute images. I use Pablo colored pencils and Mungio pastels, and there's a color along on how I did these clouds and a color along on coloring the little bunny. This is from Color Books 2020. I love how the little fish turned out. This was very early on. This was done with Black Widow pencils on Strathmore tan tone paper. And I did a color along with Lisa Matrokin, I think is how she says her name. She's a very good artist, and overall, I like how this image turned out. I definitely had some shading issues that make this girl look a little older than I would like. This is also from Lisa Matrokin. There's no color along for this. This is just me coloring. This was done in December-ish of last year. But the image is from Lisa Matrokin, and I thought it was kind of a fun one. You might recognize this image. This was a color along I did with Chris Chang back in, I think, January of 23. Very early on. I adore how this turned out. Of course, you know, it's not as nice as hers, but I felt like I learned a lot by doing the color along. I think what happens is when you do a color along, you pick up a little bit of their technique. It might be a color combination. It might be a new way of doing something altogether. Nobody can really duplicate Chris Chang, like she's in a league of her own. But I did learn an awful lot by doing this. These next two little images are both by Rachel Mintz. They were printed on don't even know what kind of cardstock this was. Some random cardstock that I had. It's kind of smooth. It's not the vellum Bristol that I like. I can't find the exact vellum Bristol that I have, so I may have to order a little bit lighter weight of vellum Bristol. In the lighter weight, the Spring Hill isn't as economical as the Nina, so I think I'm going to try Nina Vellum Bristol. But this was a little bit smoother. This, I think both of these are Black Widow pencils. These were done in probably December 2022. All of her images are just... Okay, so this was this grayscale image from Master Creative DIY on Etsy, and I think it's pretty. It was done with Prismacolor colored pencils. I initially found her because she also, does color by number, and I was kind of curious if I thought I would like color by number. I'm not a huge fan of color by number. I think it's great when you're sitting on the couch and you just want to do something a little more mindlessly with, just not have to think a lot. But instead, I found her grayscale images, and I really like how this turned out. This was from Color Books 2020. Once again, into December, beginning of January, I did this one. Rena Art, I think, is her other name that she goes by. And this one is Theasin Art. And the idea behind this, it was a challenge to do a pink mood. So not just coloring things pink, but more of a pink mood. And initially I colored this one, and then I realized that I needed more of the mood. And I think this one does it. I like this rose gold color that I was able to get. This is, once again, this is Prismacolor. So that's it for ones I've printed myself. Next up is Kanoko Agusa, and this is Minuet de Bonheur. I don't know if that's right. I colored this page and this one. There is a color along on the channel. This page is so interesting to me. I tried doing a bokeh effect in the background, which was not necessarily terribly successful. However, what's interesting to me about this page is individually, if you isolate just the berries, just those berries, just the strawberries, each individual element, I really like how they turned out. Even the cat, I'm okay with. The bunny's not fabulous, but the leaves, everything, like individually, I like them. I don't like this page together. I don't know if it's the background or just too many colors or what the deal is, but I just like taken in isolation. I really like how the berries turned out. Just don't like the page as a whole. But there is a color along on the channel, and I am going to break this into some tutorials where I show you how I colored like the berries and whatnot, because I do like how they turned out. Next up is the Symphony of Cute Animals. I think I have 3 in here. So this one was done with Inktense and Polychromos colored pencils. Once again, the combination was chosen by the poll. But overall, I like how this page turned out. It wasn't exactly what I was going for. I wanted this, how I have the blue here, I kind of wanted that over the entire image, really depicting a little bit more night scene. So I wasn't super successful in that sense. But, you know, I'm still learning and growing as a colorist. And overall, I'm happy with how this turned out. This page was done, or these pages were done. There's a full color along on the channel. I used Brute Printer squares. I used some stickles. I might have some Winkostella. There's some Winkostella in there on her wings. But I've got stickles up here in the, just a little bit in the, words are hard. I have some stickles here in the cobwebs and the little pom-pom, that kind of thing. There's a tutorial on the donut. Sorry about the glare. There you go. There's a tutorial on the donuts on the channel, but there is a color along for the entire page. Like how it turned out. Okay, the last page is this one. Now, I colored this clear back in February or March, and there is a full color along on the channel, and it has a very high view rate. I find it very interesting because this is completely different than my normal style of the punchy, bold colors. It's this soft pastel look, which I really like how it turned out. It's just a little different than my normal style. However, when I filmed it, I was still learning how to edit, and there's a little glitch in there where my editing got a little off. And so sometimes, you know, if you're coloring this flower, it might tell you to use the dark one, and while I'm still using a color, it changes to the next one because my timing got a little off. So I apologize for that, and there really isn't a lot I can do to fix it short of literally deleting the entire thing, fixing the problem, and re-uploading it. But if I do so, I lose all my watch hours, I lose all of my comments, I lose all the interaction that I have, and it's kind of detrimental to the channel. So I really don't want to do that. I feel like for the most part, when you're coloring these flowers, you know, you can tell once it's not like each of these flowers is different. All the yellows are the same color. All these peaches are the same color. So as you go along, you know, hopefully you can adjust a little bit to it. But my sincerest apologies. If you choose to do a color along, just know, if you choose to do this color along, just know that that's potentially there, and that not all of my videos are like that. So anyway, I plan on coloring more in this book for sure. Okay, so next up is Tatiana Bogema in Nice Little Town, books 1 through 3. I colored this little page in Prismacolor. No color along on the channel, I don't think, for this. This was just random coloring. So that's that one. Millie Murata's Island Escape. This is a fun book. I colored this page. It's done with Distress Oxide and Prismacolor pencils, and there is a full color along on the channel. I really enjoy using Distress inks and Distress Oxides. I did flick water, which is how you get these little splotchies, because Distress inks react with water. It's one of their properties. The oxides are more opaque, and I really like this page a lot. This whole segmented pages I find it very intriguing to color. There's that one. And then my Little Secrets from My Fairy House by Clara Markova. I just got this book and I did a color along, my first buddy color. There is a color along on the channel, and this is my first whip. I have a whip. This is my only, I take that back. I started a Christmas page with my mom, and I thought we were going to only color that page when we're together. We'll see how that goes. So I guess I do have a whip for that, but I'm not normally someone that does starts these projects and doesn't finish them. But while I was coloring this page, then I started coloring here, and for whatever reason something happened and I had to walk away. But because I hadn't really considered it, it's kind of like the title page for this one. You could put your name and the information right here, I guess, is how people view this page. But it's, there's one in between each one. So I don't know. I'm not sure if you're supposed to color these or not, but I started coloring it, so I'm going to call it a whip. But anyway, Tanya's Colors, you can check her out. She has a great channel here on YouTube, Art Adult Coloring, and I use Prismacolors on this. They're cute little hedgies, and we just went with an autumn theme. Okay, next up is Matchstick Mouse, a floral coloring book. So this is my first Matchstick Mouse, and what I did with this book is I tested out mediums. So here, this entire page was colored with ink tints. And you can see there's a little bit of warping, but not much. This page was colored entirely with Tammet gel pens. So I'll give it a wiggle so that you can see all the glittery goodness. I like these gel pens. I think they're fun. It's not my personal preference for coloring, but they were fun to play with. This one was colored with Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils. Once again, you can use these pencils and not ruin your paper. You might get a little bit of, you can see just a hint of buckling, but not much. This one was colored entirely with Neocolor 2s. This one was colored entirely with Pan Pastels. And this one was colored entirely with oil pastels. So it can be done. Now obviously I tried to pick an image for the oil pastels that wasn't, fiddly. Like I wouldn't want to be trying to color those little flowers there. with oil pastels. But it can be done. And, you know, relatively cleanly. So I'll probably finish up this book coloring each page with a different colored pencil. I think that would be kind of fun to do in this book. And then I just got this one, so I colored this page just this month. So you probably haven't seen it unless you're on my Instagram. And if you are, I'm so happy to see you there. If not, feel free to check me out there. There is a little bit of glitter pens just for the shimmer. So while I'm in the Matchstick Mouse realm, I did color a Matchstick Mouse pumpkin party project. I colored the entire coloring book. There is a color along of every single page, along with an entire flip through. I gave it to my grandson, so I don't have the book anymore. I do have the pages. While I'm talking about that, I also colored the entire book of My Little Bunny's Book of Thoughts. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. I think that book is so adorable. I colored it for a birthday gift for my cousin, so I don't have that book as well. But once again, there's a full flip through of the book on the channel, along with one of the pages as a color along. I colored it with Albrecht Dürer colored pencils, but it's talking about how to color grayscale. Now, this is also by Steve Smallman. He's the one that did the Little Bunny Book of Thoughts. There's also Little Bunny's Book of Friends. Now, this book is just as adorable as My Little Bunny's Book of Thoughts. However, this page is glossy and smooth, like full gloss pages. So I don't know how this one would color. I was a little disappointed by it. I am going to try to spray it with workable fixative and see if I can add a little bit of tooth. I may play around with even adding satin, golden satin liquid glaze, satin glaze. Golden satin glaze, I think is what it's called, which is, yeah, I don't have it right next to me, but it's kind of like a gesso, but it does add a nice tooth to the paper, and I may have to go with something like that in order to color this. So I was a little disappointed, but look at these cute images. They're just, it's just a sweet book and sweet images. So, but the Little Bunny Book of Thoughts is definitely colorable as is. So check that out if you're interested. Okay. Remember I talked about color by numbers. I did break down and buy this book. It's a Disney book. It is Hatchet Heroes, and I colored one page in it. I used Artix pencils, and I even wrote down the numbers in case I wanted to, you know, match these up in the books later. But it was kind of fun. You can definitely see, I don't know if you can tell on video, but I can see like the letters in some of the colors, especially the lighter colors. I think this might be fun to color with gouache. So I am going to be playing around with that in the new year. This is the book that, if you've been on my channel, there is a full color along, or not a full color along, there is a full flip through of all but maybe 4 images that I've colored in this, where today what I thought we would do is just go very quickly through them. But this is my couch coloring book. I test new mediums that I get in this book. So this one was done with Black Widow. This one was Avazar London. This is Dick Blick and Inktense. So I did use Inktense in the book, and I like how it turned out. This one is Cezanne. This one is Inktense and Prismacolor. This one is Cezanne. So it's interesting. Remember I was telling you in the Creative Haven, which is Amazon paper, kind of crappy, but it has like some tooth to it. I didn't really like how they turned out, but I think that they performed well in the Disney book. So I think that's interesting. This one is Neocolor 2s, and then as the base layer, and then Prismas on top. This one is Dick Blick. This one is Pablo's. This one is Color. This one is Artix. Colorsoft pencils. Really enjoyed using Colorsoft pencils in this book. And quite honestly, unless you're using a toothy paper, they're not as crumbly as you might think. I thought they were going to be a little crummy because I swatch on Bristol Vellum, which is a toothier paper, but they worked really well in this page. These are Brute Funer squares. This is a more recent one. These are Posca pencils, which I may do a review on the channel for these. These are a nice set of pencils. There's only 36 colors, but look at the vibrancy. So, Artisto watercolor pencils. So I used the watercolored pencils, and then I also used them dry. But that's Artisto, not Artistro. Okay, this next one was also colored with Colorsoft. I did several because I was just really enjoying working with them. This one was done with Luminance. I really like the Luminance pencils in this book. This one was done with Sioux Color. And while I like Sioux Color and I think it does a good job, I was not happy with this page at all. I think some of it is, I don't know. I don't think it was necessarily the pencil's fault. But I just didn't get the values that I wanted out of those pencils. And this may go on a Can We Improve It video. This is the only one that is a color along on the channel. It's done with polychromos, and I walk you through my process from start to finish. This one was done with Colorsoft. So once again, I'm just really enjoy using these pencils, and I think other than I didn't really have the correct green here, other than that, I was pretty pleased with how this one turned out. And the final one was done with ChromaFlow. And ChromaFlow is normally a really good pencil. I was not impressed at all by how it handled in this book. As you can see, every value in this picture is off. The gray should be darker. This black should be black. This is more like a 30% gray, maybe 40% gray, not black. So I was not happy. Now, one thing I will say, I spray this entire book with workable fixative. I started doing that maybe a third of the way through coloring what I've colored so far, because the paper is so smooth. You just don't have the ability to layer up as much as you would like. I find that the fixative helps me. Now, it's not going to turn it into a Bristol vellum or anything, but it does help. And, you could use something like a gesso. I just tend to be a little lazy. So this is my couch book. So I find that just workable fixative, any brand, or at least I haven't found one brand over the other. I've used Krylon and Grumbacher. So that was it for the Disney book. Okay, and last but certainly not least is Hannah Karlzon. This is kind of a surprise to me because when I first saw her books, I could never really figure out what everybody saw in them, because I was like, she draws like dots on their face, and I don't know. I didn't get it. And then I colored one of her pages, and I did get it. I enjoy her images now. She's one of my favorites to color in. I love the paper. I love hardbound books. There's so much to like. So this page was done with Inktense pencils and polychromos. Once again, chosen by you guys for the combination. And then I used Deco Art Gold for all the stars. All of the stars have a little shimmer. Really enjoy how this page turned out. This page was also colored with Inktense for the actual beetle, and then there's stickles on the shiny bits coming out of him. I used a little Neo color too to create the background, and I really enjoy how he turned out. Next up, I colored one page out of the Daydreams. It's this page. There is a full color along on the channel, along with short tutorials on how to color the gemstone, how to color gold, like the crown, and then a jingle ball, and then there's how to color these pearls here. And then the full color along. But I really enjoyed working in this page, and I like how it turned out. The last page is in Magical Dawn, and I colored this page. There's a little bit of shimmer. I used Sparkle Pop for the little stars. I wanted just a little pop of color. I really liked kind of this colored pencil look of like the leaves with the purple and the green, and I just really didn't want to blend them out. So I purposely left this whole page kind of unblended, but there is a full color along on the channel on this page. So that's it. Thank you guys so much. I've had so much fun this last year coloring with you guys. I feel like I've improved my coloring, and I'm really looking forward to coloring with you going into 2024. Please let me know in the comments, what books would you like to see me work in more? There's some that are kind of a given. I'm going to be working in Kirby, Hannah, Rita, all the first name people. Koko Louisa. I have some Japanese coloring books that I'm going to be coloring in for sure. But I really would like to know from you guys what you would like to see. And if you want to pick maybe one book that we maybe don't commit to finishing the entire book in a year, we'll see about that, but maybe commit to at least 1 or 2 color alongs a month in a particular book. So it won't mean that I will only color in that book, but there will be a concentration in that book so that you can, for example, if we picked maybe the Koko Louisa or maybe one of Erie's books, and we just keep pushing, to color every page. Eventually, let me know if there's interest in that. I know some people have expressed interest. I'd like to see how much interest there is in that. And if so, please let me know what that book might be, because that's going to be the tricky part. Is some people might be really down for something like that, but then maybe we pick the Kirby book and you really don't want to color in Kirby. So I'd like to kind of let you guys drive the content in terms of that. So let me know. And as always, I appreciate you and I hope you have a great day coloring. Thank you for watching another video from Jazzydoodledesigns. If you enjoy adult coloring content, please consider subscribing. You can now find me on Instagram and Facebook as well. I welcome all comments and suggestions. Don't forget to like the video before you go. And until next time, take care.